Hey folks, welcome back. Jerry once again here at Hilltop Firearms Training Center, Dover, Tennessee. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk about a subject that I have been dealing with roughly for 17 years. It's what I like to refer to as the different types of panic buyers when it pertains to firearms. So bear with me. I'm gonna break it down. And we're going to go through the different types of people, and I think you'll be able to relate to a lot of these folks. Now, more than likely, if you're watching this video, you're not one of these types of people, okay? So, the panic buyer, and the reason for this video is because after, like I mentioned, 17 years of being a federal firearms license holder, meaning I can buy and sell guns, I have seen this more times than I can even remember, due to events that occur in our society. And what I mean is a spike in sales and then a decline. And then you go for a while and another spike. So bear with me. The type 1 panic buyer is the person that sees what's going on in our society. And they understand it can be quite dangerous, quite violent, and pretty scary. But it takes a tragic event to occur. They turn the news on and they see what's just happened, and it suddenly changes a lot for them, and it jolts them sort of back into reality, and the realization sets in on just how volatile things can sometimes be in seconds. So a good example would be 10 years ago. I remember just following the massacre that occurred at Virginia Tech, where the shooter went into that campus and killed 32 people. I remember just days following that, my phone would ring and it would be like, hey, listen, I got a daughter in college and this is out of hand. I'm really thinking about having her start carrying her gun, and I don't care if it's a gun-free zone, and so forth. I got a lot of calls back in 2007 following the Virginia Tech tragic events that had happened there. So they realize, okay, the police do their best, but the police cannot be everywhere at every moment, at every time when something like that happens. Police arrive after the events are occurring or have occurred. So the panic buyer then decides to make the purchase and get a gun. They realize the only way to deal with violence is to have a gun to deal with violence. That's pretty much it. History has proven that over and over and over. How do you stop bad people with guns? With a gun. Now, this is where the fork in the road, this is where it branches off, because the panic buyer buys the gun and they can go either way with it. Some of them, and I have dealt with a lot of people, and it was a very rewarding thing for me to work with such people that realize, oh, it's on me now. I have to be prepared. I have to be willing to protect myself. So that panic buyer realizes the realization. They purchase the gun and they start seeking training. They start going to, say, the shooting range once a month just to keep their, hone their skills. They start practicing what they learned in schools that they've gone to. They become very situationally aware. They start dressing a little bit different so as to keep the gun from, the plain sight. Whatever it is, but they realize that their lifestyle is going to change, because now they have the burden of carrying a firearm and all the extra responsibility that goes with it. Now, this panic buyer makes a change in their life because of this. There's also the fine line where the fork in the road branches off, and then now you got another type of panic buyer, and this is the one I see more often than not, and it really bothers me because this is most people and how they react. They made the purchase. They may take a class, may not. They may get their permit to carry the gun legally. Some people don't. They just carry a gun and they say, well, I'm going to carry it just in case. But time goes on, time passes, time heals. So slowly, they become comfortable again. They're like, well, I think everything's been pretty quiet again. They start to revert back to their old ways. They start to neglect carrying the gun because, once again, complacency starts to set in. Comfortable. It's been pretty quiet. I think we're okay again. They start leaving the gun at home. I'm only going to go to the store. I'm just running down. It's like 4 miles to the grocery store. I'm not carrying a gun. I'm not going to be that paranoid kind of a person. I'm not going to live like a prisoner. I've heard this stuff. So there's the type 1. It makes a big change in their lives initially, and then they slack off. Or they make the commitment and they continue on that road, and they realize that they'll never be the same person that they once were before they just were oblivious to the violence, and they realize it occurs, but it's probably never going to happen to me. Why? Because maybe they had a kid in college, or their kid, the person that the person that is in college comes to me and says, this is ridiculous. I saw these people dying, on the news. I'm carrying my gun, and they stick with it. That's the type 1, and it can go either way.